My name's Makai Green, and you're listening to The Simple Idea, a podcast about taking action on the things that matter to you. In each episode, you get to hear from people across the world discuss how they acted on their simple idea and tackled projects that gave them personal fulfillment. Now let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today I'm here with Sean Lay. Sean is a YouTuber who primarily focuses on money management for millennials. Sean, how are you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. This is actually my very first time being a guest speaker on a podcast. I'm super stoked to be here.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad to have you on. Glad that this is your first podcast experience. So I can say I'm the first in case anybody else invites you onto their show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to give an introduction here because I could probably go on about you, but you probably know yourself a little bit better than I do. Can you give everybody who's listening a bit of a brief bio introduction of who you are exactly?
Yeah, for sure. So by day, I'm actually a computer scientist working on artificial intelligence for computer vision. And
nice.
And by night, I'm a YouTuber who focuses on personal finance and minimalism for young adults. And I just basically love discussing personal finance and minimalist approaches to modern society.
Okay, awesome. I didn't know you were a STEM major in college. That's pretty cool. What made you get into that exactly?
I guess I honestly was pretty good in math and science. I didn't really know what I wanted to major in. So the natural route was just to go into engineering. And I went to a career fair and all the companies there were looking for computer science majors. So I just decided to roll with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely an industry that's clearly evolving and, gaining a lot more traction, I guess. So it's any type of coding or anything within, I guess, being a STEM major would be, ideal going forward for most people. Like even now, I'm a communication major with a minor in new media. And even with some of the stuff I'm doing, I have to learn just basic HTML and CSS. So it's it's kind of like creeping into other areas there. You know what I mean?
That's dope. Yeah, a lot of my friends they don't have like coding jobs, but they do pick up coding because it does help them in their job. So it's booming.
Yeah, definitely is. It's something I personally want to explore a little bit more. So I don't know. It's kind of cool that you're into that full time. Maybe not that exactly, but within that realm.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a question that I've been asking guests more recently, and it's kind of starting to become a tradition, with this podcast. I'm going to ask you what your simple idea was and kind of how did you get started on the path that you're on now with this YouTube career that you're kind of building up for yourself?
Yeah, I love that question. My simple idea is to remove the things in your life you don't care for so you can bring in more of the things you do. And this is something that I've been trying to implement into my life on a daily basis. And I guess I got into the path that I'm on now is I graduated college in 2018 and then my job was interesting, but it didn't really satisfy me creatively. So I started just doing photography and making videos on YouTube and just posting that. And now I've been consistently posting a video a week for the past year on YouTube, which has been an awesome experience.
Okay, awesome. And that kind of leads me into the next question I have for you, which is like YouTube related. And the next few questions actually will be focused on you just kind of scaling your YouTube channel up a bit. So with you consistently uploading on YouTube, what are some of your takeaways from starting up your channel from scratch, like for consistently uploading for about a year now?
Yeah, it's been a long journey. I guess I can't technically say I started from scratch. If you go back to my very first videos, you'll see like old dance videos and travel videos.
Well, yeah,
and
like a few years back.
And from those I got like a whopping 40 subscribers. And then I later switched to like making little Photoshop tutorials, like how to make a YouTube banner or YouTube thumbnail. And basically I was just all over the place. And one takeaway I have for starting from scratch is to niche down to blow up. If people came to my channel if people came to my channel in its infancy, they wouldn't know what I'm about and would have really no reason to subscribe. And being a one-stop shop for everything is only suitable for those who already have massive followings who will watch whatever you put out. But if you're just starting out, I think it's like best to just niche down as much as you can, because if you appeal to everyone, you end up appealing to no one.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. for me personally, I've tried YouTube in the past and I've been on and off with it and never really kind of stuck to anything. And more recently, I actually started blogging. But my niche for my blog was more so, it was tech, lifestyle design, productivity, personal development. And realistically, that's not something that would ever stick because all four of those things are very broad categories. And for me to be covering all four of those, you know what I mean? There's no real chance for growth. You know what I mean? It's kind of just like,
yeah, I totally get that.
There's room for growth, but at the same time, not having or picking out like a very small subsection of people that I could relate to. I'm just like everybody else who's making, we're not making, but writing on tech or writing on whatever it is they're writing. Yeah, so yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, nowadays there's a lot of competition and people will go to like certain places for certain kinds of content. Yeah, just how it is.
Absolutely. But I think it's smart of you to kind of find your identity because there is consistent branding with what you're doing. From every thumbnail to just the way you light your videos, obviously the topics, everything is like very linear and cohesive, what you're doing. So I think you're definitely on the right path and you are kind of like niching down a bit. And it definitely works well. That's like, I could see like you have a very good, I don't know if you want to call yourself a brand or not, but from my perspective, like from a branding standpoint, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, thanks, man. I guess, I'd consider myself a brand. I think everyone, even like any influencer, is a personal brand. And whether you are on social media or not, you do kind of have a personal brand that you put out when you talk to people.
Yeah, so for sure. Just your image overall. Okay, so what challenges did you face early on? And what were some of your adjustments that you had to make with growing your channel a bit?
Yeah, you learn a lot when you just dive on in. I failed often, hopefully learn from those mistakes. And I've had technical challenges like how to use my camera, how to set up good lighting and audio, how to find music and color grading. Dude, in some of my like earlier videos, I'll just watch them and my face is just super red or really saturated orange, which is obviously not normal. And it's taken a lot of time to like get used to these video editing softwares and setting up everything. But a big adjustment I had to make was to be a guide. And what I mean by that is I listened to some podcast episodes of Building a Story Brand with Donald Miller, where he advocates for creators and book 2. He advocates for creators and business owners to position themselves as the guide and not the hero of the story. So if you want your audience to be like Luke Skywalker, who continues to learn and grow, and then you want to be Yoda, who's like that wise authority figure who gives value to your audience. Another example would be like Nike and how like Nike is the coach, and then all the customers are the athletes, and Nike just helps those athletes achieve their goals and performance.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with everything that you're saying right now. And I kind of want to backtrack to what you were saying early on, and I'm just out of curiosity. What is your YouTube setup look like, or like what is your when I say setup, I mean like gear wise. I'm just curious.
Oh yeah, so
because hey, go ahead, sorry.
Oh yeah, for my camera body is a Sony A7 III, and I got that about almost like a year ago now. Okay. But that was like my first major upgrade from like just a regular Canon Rebel T3i. Okay. And then on top of that, I just have 2 prime lenses. One's a 24 millimeter, the other's a 50. And for a mic, I just have like a shotgun mic on my camera, and then I actually just purchased a lavalier mic, which I'm actually talking into right now. So in terms of gear wise, I wouldn't say I have like the best gear, but it's more like a budget gear that has got me going at this stage of my side hustle, I guess.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I've been trying to put myself into like a YouTube pathway for a while now. My issue is kind of like being comfortable on camera. I used to make YouTube videos in the past, but I mean, as you grow up, you obviously change. So I was just curious behind that a little bit. And this kind of leads me into my next question for you. When you were starting off becoming that guide and going back to Donald Miller and building a story brand and kind of like leading people to the places that they want to be at. Did you? I don't want to like straight up ask you. Did you ever like feel a sense of imposter syndrome? But did you ever feel like a sense of self doubt? With like, did you feel qualified to be telling the stories that you are, or helping the people that you're helping?
Oh, dude, imposter syndrome. I felt like imposter basically all the time, especially when like talking about personal finance because,
Yeah,
I mean,
because that's tricky.
Yeah, because people typically like look up to their parents or like older people who tend to be wiser, have like managed money for longer than I have.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, it turns out like that doesn't really hold true. But especially at the beginning where like you don't really know too much, you're like learning with them. But I would honestly say that if you're just like a couple steps ahead of the people you're talking to, then you can provide value, and that's awesome in its own way. Like even then, like you can relate to people because you literally just went through those same steps. So if you think about it in terms of that, then it makes sense for you to, feel comfortable in what you're dishing out.
Right. So considering you're still at an early stage of your growth period, what advice can you give others looking to start their own projects?
First, I would just say to just start. I think just starting is like half the battle. I know a lot of people who have like thought about starting something, but then just put it off for years and then end up not doing it. If you're talking about longer term, you really don't know if you want to do something long term until you've been doing it for a while. So the sooner you start, the sooner you can figure that out. And on my end, I've like started a bunch of different things. Like I've tried to start a lifestyle apparel brand, and I actually bought like 300 t-shirts, and I ended up selling. This. Yeah, like I ended up not selling any of them, and just like started giving it out to my friends to rep me. That was like a fun experience. But I actually like set up a whole like website and then an Instagram for it. I guess I just wasn't really like too passionate about it. I've also tried to like, No,
go ahead. I'm curious to hear this because I have like similar stories to this.
Yeah, on like a similar note, I also tried to create my own shoes where like I went on Alibaba and designed something, in AutoCAD and had someone like trying to make it and then send it back. And
how did that go?
The shipping itself takes like a couple weeks because they're like shipping out from China.
Oh yeah,
and like the sole ended up being like super thick and hard, and then the like kind of like mesh on top wasn't really mesh; it was just like a flimsy piece of fabric, and so it was just like really easy for someone to just like lean over and like snap an ankle. So that ended real quick.
That's funny.
Yeah, I've also like started a personal finance blog one summer, and I made some articles for a couple months, and then I realized that I actually like don't like writing.
Yeah.
So I prefer just like making videos and talking about it. So yeah, that ended too. So yeah, you really don't know like what you are going to enjoy until you start doing it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair to say. I found myself in a very similar situation. And I don't know if it's me having shiny object syndrome or me like just wanting to like try different things and have something stick. I have no idea. But
what are some of the things that you've tried?
I've done a lot of different things, man. And honestly, this podcast has been the most consistent of those things because this has been running for like about a year and almost 2 months now. And I've been somewhat regular-ish. But podcasting, tried coding for a little bit, or Android app development. What else have I done? Blogging, YouTube at one point. Tried Amazon FBA for a little bit. There's probably some other stuff in between. So going back to your Alibaba story, actually, going into Amazon FBA, I was like, okay, let me see what I can do with this. I sourced like, I think it was about like 30 to 60 like all natural loofahs, if you know what a loofah is.
Oh yeah, the things you rub on when you shower.
Yeah, basically those. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. This is gonna be great. And then as soon as I went to go ship them on Amazon, I had a bunch of issues, and it was in the health and beauty category. So like that's already like a very like hard category to get into. And like there's a lot of like rules and restrictions. It ultimately like ended up not working out at all. So I just had a bunch of loofahs just laying around. And I tried again with like computer cases. And then I took a bunch of different courses like explaining how to like pair digital and physical products. And all of it ended up not really being something that I was all that interested in. And it was a lot more work than I was willing to put in. And plus, like I want to do something that I could like kind of like, you know, allow my like creative juices to flow. And that's not really something you can, you know, do. I mean, it'll make you money, assuming you know what you're doing. But outside of that, and I've published like 2 books too. And I made some money off of them, but I don't really like writing at all unless it's on my own terms. So yeah, I mean, stop doing Kindle and publishing and stuff like that. So that's out of the equation there. And then this past like, go ahead, my bad.
Oh yeah, what were your 2 books on?
One was on how to write faster or type faster, excuse me. And then the other one was just like a random romance novel. I can link them to you.
Okay, nice. Yeah, please link it to me later.
Yeah, I'll link it to you after this episode. But yeah, like I made some money off of it. That wasn't the issue. It's just I wasn't inspired to do it, and I don't want to do something just for some pocket change that I don't really enjoy. So it's a waste of time. But yeah, that's all of my like creative endeavors at the moment. Definitely want to do something with this podcast. So I've been, you know, taking a little bit more seriously, kind of getting comfortable with my voice. Bunch of different things involved with that, but this is probably like my strongest portfolio piece, if you want to call it that. And just over the course of time, it's just me failing and dropping out of different things. So this is where I'm at. And photography too. Very amateur photography. But yeah, like going back to what you said, I think it's just a matter of starting and really just failing until you find something that sticks. And then that's probably the best route to go.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, collectively, you and I have tried a lot of different things and failed, but in the end, like only one thing has to work. So once you find that thing and you enjoy it, just run with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely great advice. So these next 3 questions are outside of the realm of just content creation or just being a creative. I kind of want to pick your brain on finances or personal finances. And these aren't questions that are like, you know, set in stone foundational things that people need to like absolutely do. I just want your opinion because I'm curious.
Yeah, let's do it.
With that out of the way, I'm going to ask you this. Why did you decide to document your experiences with finances? Is it that you like filmmaking, that you like teaching, that you're just really interested in financing and you like kind of pair those all together? Like, what is it that kind of made you focus on filming millennial finances?
Yeah, when I first got into personal finance, I had candid conversations with my parents and siblings, and I thought that was like the norm with everyone. But I quickly realized that wasn't the case. And I think money should be a transparent topic where we openly discuss it and help each other lead better lives, because our like lives are very directly tied to our finances. It's how we like pay for things and fuel our lifestyle. But before like websites like Glassdoor, salaries were hidden and companies could lowball salaries for employees. And I think just like being open and teaching others about it is very helpful. And
Absolutely.
I do enjoy teaching and helping others. I've been a swim coach, math tutor, salsa dancing instructor. And for me, it's just like fun. And I hope my experiences and what I share helps others with their own financial lives. I've tried like blogging about personal finance. Wasn't for me, not a fan of writing. So
yeah,
I did get into photography, and from photography, I got into video, and then hopped on YouTube.
All right. So another question, and kind of related. Why do you think that money is such a taboo thing to talk about? Because like all of my life, I've been told like not to talk about money or politics or religion with other people, stuff like of that nature. But money, it should be something that's transparent. It should be something that everybody has a basic understanding of, or something that people should be able to comfortably talk about with people. Do you think there's a reason why?
Yeah, I'm not really sure of the reason why. I guess it's just a stigma where.
And it's totally cool you don't have an answer for this, because I personally don't have an answer myself. I just wanted to get or pick your brain a little bit on it.
Yeah, it's a tough question. I guess like it kind of just makes people uncomfortable if your thoughts are conflicting with someone else's, if like people just constantly say you're spending too much, or like, why are you like buying these things, it can turn into like shaming almost. I think there are like several different reasons, but that's just something that
That's
just
just an
popped into my
example.
mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that. Definitely some emotions involved there.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah. All right. So another question for you here. What basic steps should most people our age kind of take into consideration when building their financial portfolio?
So I guess there's a lot of things that can go into financial portfolio. There's,
Yeah.
for instance, investments in the stock market, real estate, or business. But I think the easiest thing to get into would be the stock market, because you don't need that much money to start.
Okay.
My personal strategy is to just invest in low cost index funds. And I've tried the individual stock picking. It's
Mm-hmm.
risky and it does require a lot of research. But with low cost index funds, you basically purchase a portion of every company within that fund, which
Okay.
diversifies your portfolio from the get go. And another statistic I like talking about is that over 90% of individual investors can't beat the S&P 500 index, which basically just has like the top 500 US companies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like very simple and beneficial for people to just purchase an index fund, which is essentially just purchasing the economy.
Okay, I follow. Because I actually just got done reading I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And that was one of my takeaways from the book, is to kind of look into index funds or target date funds.
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand, index funds are a little bit riskier in comparison to target date funds. But
Yeah, I guess target date funds will like continuously add in more bonds as you get older, which is
yeah,
just
a
like
little,
diversifying even more.
yeah. But yeah, probably gonna look into one of those myself eventually. But yeah, just
Mm-hmm.
curious to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's funny you
Uh,
actually brought up "I Will Teach You to Be Rich" because I actually got to meet Ramit a couple months ago at a financial conference,
oh, nice.
and I'm a huge fan of his and what he stands for, and how like he talks about not only how to save but how to spend, where
Yeah,
you
which
like
I think is
cut back
important.
on the like mercilessly cut back on the things you don't care for and lavishly spend on the things you love, which I am hugely aligned with.
Yeah, it's as simple as it sounds. It's not really something that I feel like most people have given much thought before. Instead, it's cut back in every way possible. Be extremely frugal, but that's not necessarily how you have to live. I
Mm-hmm.
think if you do that in other areas and kind of prioritize an area that you would like to spend money in, it just makes sense, and it still, in a way, kind of works out. So reading that kind of like gave me a sense of ease, because I'm not thinking I have to just store up all my cash and invest it into a bunch of things and make sure every dollar is accounted for. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really approach it that way, which is something that I appreciate. So definitely a good book. It's a book that I recommend to, or I have been recommending to most people since I've read it.
Awesome. Yeah, I second that recommendation.
Yeah, solid book. Any other personal finance books that you
Yeah, another one
kind
I
of?
love is The Simple Path to Wealth by Jim Collins. And there's a book on this. He also has like a free shorter version on his blog. But this is
Okay,
for people who want like actionable investing steps geared towards young professionals who know like investing is important because it's important to grow your wealth, but don't want to spend every day thinking about it. So TLDR, he
okay,
basically like advocates for like low cost index funds and gives tells you to invest in low cost index funds, but also backs up why it's really all you need. So it's a great book and blog to read about, like a simple way to invest that has diversity, or that diversifies your portfolio and
okay.
makes you grow really well.
All right, so I'm definitely going to check that out, and I'll probably end up linking it in the description for this episode, because
Mm-hmm.
I have been looking to get into some more finance related books, just so I can kind of educate myself and kind of be in the know about these things, because being an adult now, those are things that you have to do. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
money management's important.
yeah, most definitely. So a little bit different from building a portfolio. I'm going to ask you a question about tackling debt and just your thoughts. Like I said, no concrete answer, no real solid thing here, just your thoughts. How can the average person go about tackling debt? Like, say, for example, let me paint you a picture. Recent college graduate, say you're like $60,000 in debt. What are some good practices to get in the habit of to start tackling that debt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would advise people to first figure out when your debt payoff date is. A lot of the times that can feel like a looming giant over you and makes you feel trapped. And knowing exactly when you'll be debt free is massive because you can see the end in sight. And there's typically two popular approaches to tackling debt. And one way is to start with the smallest amount of debt first and pay it off, and then move on to the next smallest amount. And this is a good strategy because you'll feel awesome with paying off each debt as you go further and further. And this is basically like getting the lowest hanging fruit first.
Yeah, it's like micro wins, and it kind of like builds your spirit up towards paying off debt.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think psychologically, this is easier on most people.
Okay.
And then the other way. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, go ahead. I'm listening to you
here. Yeah, the other way is to start with the highest interest debt first. And for people, this is like typically your credit card debt, and tackle the highest first and then move on to the next highest and keep going lower and lower. And financially, this is better because you stop your highest interest debt from growing even more. So financially, this is better in the long run, but maybe mentally tougher to stick to than the first way.
Okay, so picking up off of the last question that I just asked you, do you think it's necessary to own a credit card? Like, there's a lot of negative stigma surrounding them. Could you just give me a very quick, brief breakdown of your own experiences with them? Because to most people, they seem kind of intimidating or scary.
Yep, they can definitely be scary. I think the only scenario where I wouldn't recommend even one credit card would be if that person had extreme spending habits or was going deep into debt.
Okay.
But for the majority of people in the United States, I think credit is really important to get approved for loans, possibly rent because your landlord will check your credit history, and even some jobs. And your credit score is basically your financial trustworthiness, and it's better to start now and build it up than to start later when you really need it. And if you're scared of overspending on a credit card, there are beginner credit cards out there where you can reduce the limit to a small amount, like $500.
Okay.
And that, I would say, would help out a lot of people. But the power of credit cards is astounding, and I won't get deep into it now, but they can provide very lucrative sign-up bonuses, which is how I've like gotten all of my airfares for free for my like last trip out of the country and my next trip this May to Japan and Hawaii. And if I actually remember correctly, you're actually going to Japan in a couple months.
Yeah, I'm looking to go to Japan. The trip got pushed back a little bit. So my friends and I are trying to set something up, but it might be like the end of July, August. But in the meantime, it looks like I might be taking a drive up to Canada because that's not too far of a drive from where I'm at. Like 8-ish hours, 9-ish, I want to say. So, hopefully Japan at some point this year.
Yeah, if you end up going to Japan, it sounds like you'll barely miss the Summer Olympics.
Yeah, that's what my friends wanted to do. They wanted to try to head over there around that time, which would be pretty hectic to do.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm not sure how realistic that is. Would obviously be really cool to go, but, we'll see. Still playing it by ear, saving up money and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But yeah, out of curiosity, why do you want to head to Japan? Is it just a place that you've always wanted to travel to, or is there like some type of significance behind the trip?
Yeah, Japan wasn't even on my radar. I'm going to Hawaii with my family as like my younger sister's graduation trip since she's graduating college this May.
Okay, cool.
I think everyone was just kind of like, oh, we're already halfway across the world. Why don't we just add Japan to the week before?
Yeah, so, honestly, not a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, my older sister's she lives in San Diego and has been to Japan like 5 times.
Oh, yeah. So
she's going to show us the ropes.
Should be the tour guide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a bad idea to kind of take like a little pit stop. My friends and I were talking about stopping by. We're like flying into California, hanging out there for like a day or two, and then heading over to Japan afterwards. So we kind of hit 2 places at once.
Yeah. I mean, you got to lay over in California and then have a good time. That's kind of a solid plan.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So that kind of like wraps up all the main questions that I had for you. For this little interview style conversation we had going But I'm gonna get into some quick questions, and these are just questions that I thought were kind of random. They're not too serious. Once again, just trying to pick your brain a little bit. And I did ask you this before, but this is a little bit more targeted. If there's any one particular finance book that you would recommend to people, or even just book in general, what is that book, and why do people need to read it?
Yeah, I guess we touched up on two books that I would have recommended. The one's like The I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. And this is just a great book on mindset that teaches you not only how to save, but how to spend. And then another one that we also mentioned was The Simple Path to Wealth by Jim J.L. Collins. And this is just a more actionable step on investing and like how to invest, why to do it a certain way. This is geared towards people who simply just want to start investing, but don't want to spend a lot of time doing so.
Okay, makes sense. All right, so going from there, next quick question for you. Do you pull inspiration from any particular creators? Was there somebody that you kind of looked up to when you started your channel, or really any creative endeavor that you kind of set out on?
Mm-hmm. I pull inspiration from a lot of different creators. I am a huge consumer of YouTube, and I love just watching other creators and like analyzing how they film certain things. I'm a huge fan of like Matt D'Avella and Peter McKinnon. Both are just like amazing filmmakers. Matt D'Avella he makes a lot of videos on minimalism and has moved on to like personal development, self-improvement. And Peter McKinnon just talks a lot about like photography and video, and he's just like a great entertaining dude who just offers a lot of value in terms of like creating content. And a couple other ones in like the travel niche that I draw inspiration from are Sam Colder and Ben TK.
Okay, so I've heard of the first guy. I don't know if I've heard of the second guy.
Okay, yeah. Both just like have amazing footage and like storytelling, and it just like gets me inspired to just create more videos. And I guess lastly, I'd say another big influence of mine is Sorel Amore, who does a lot. You might not know her, but she does a lot of like photography and just like talking about creativity, minimalism, things like that. And I like just taking aspects of all of these creators and implementing it into my own videos, and whether that'd be like dope footage and transitions, or to focus on storytelling, or simply just a reminder to like let loose in front of the camera.
Oh, yeah, awesome. So some of those creators I have never heard of before. Some of them I obviously have heard of, but that just goes to show you how big of a platform YouTube is. But yeah, Matt Debello, definitely probably one of my favorite YouTubers. I've been following him for a pretty decent amount of time now. Yeah. And he's a Jersey native too, so it's kind of cool to see somebody like that come from the state and kind of do what he's doing. So definitely very inspirational. So this last question, and this will kind of wrap up the episode here, completely out of the blue, just one of the last questions I thought of. If you had to choose between fighting a lion and a bear, which would you choose and why? And I need a very strategic answer here.
Yeah, so you got it. Yeah, I love these kinds of questions.
Yeah,
I'd have to go with fighting a lion. And
okay,
I've actually been like a few meters away from both in the wild. I was in Tanzania last summer, and we were on a safari, and lions will just like literally walk up to your safari vehicle.
Oh, yikes.
And then I was like next to a black bear up in Alaska, and it was like, I think it was pretty small. It wasn't like a grizzly bear or anything.
Yeah, grizzlies are much more hostile, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're like much bigger. So I'd rather fight a lion than like a grizzly bear.
Yeah, I wasn't too specific with that. So, okay, yeah. So a lion versus a grizzly bear. I'd probably take a lion too, actually, the more I think about it.
What's your reason behind that?
See, it's tough because bears are really they're so mobile. They can climb, they can run at insane speeds. They can take your head off in one swipe, crush all your bones in one bite. I mean, at least with a lion, it's tough, but I feel like you would have a better chance of surviving a lion attack than a bear attack, realistically.
Yeah, I think like a grizzly bear definitely has more mass than a lion.
Yeah, but it's just, I mean, lions can climb a little bit too, can't they?
Yeah.
But not to the extent of a bear or...
Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah. Plus, like if they're angry, they're pretty relentless, from what I understand.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lion on that one. And out of curiosity, how was your Alaska trip? Because that's a place I've considered visiting at some point, but also pretty barren from what I understand.
Yeah. I actually went when I was in high school, like maybe like 7 years ago.
Oh, so it's been a minute.
Yeah, so we actually went on a cruise. We started in Seattle, went up to like a couple cities in Alaska, and then down to Vancouver, and then back to Seattle.
Oh,
But
that's dope.
I say if you go to Alaska, go in the summertime because
Oh
it's
yeah,
a
definitely.
yeah, it's a bit warmer.
Not
um,
trying to go there when it's that cold.
yeah, it was kind of like rainy and murky, but I think like the glaciers are just an amazing sight to see, and you can do like a lot of cool things like dog sledding, things like that, where I feel like you can really only do in Alaska.
Oh, nice. Okay, so that's kind of a bit of a motivation to maybe consider a trip out there.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I've had some family that have traveled there, but I haven't been there myself, so I might have to put that on my list.
Yeah, for sure, it's a good destination spot.
All right, well, Sean, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I think this might be a good place to wrap up the episode now. But before we close out, is there anything that I can link my listeners to? Any projects, any videos coming out, any merch? In any way I can help, I want to. So, what can you plug for us today?
Yeah, I'd say first, if you want to see more content about money and minimalism, then check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Sean Lay. And then if you want to see more of my like travel and personal life, go to my Instagram account at the Sean Lay, and that's where people just hit me up in my DMs.
All right, so I'll be sure to link both of those in the description of this episode. For those of you who are listening, Sean's a really, really good resource. And if you are a millennial around our ages, definitely a good resource to look out to and kind of pull inspiration from. Definitely knows what he's talking about, and he has some really good content, so go check him out. Sean, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully we can talk soon.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me on. It's been a blast. For having me on, it's been a blast. For having me on, it's been a blast. For having me on, it's been a blast.